So my name is Maischein, and I'm very happy to tell you a bit today about recent documents and what you can do with them in Perl. Well, what do I want to tell you or show you today? Ideally, I will show you a bit that helps you improve your daily workflows if you do actual manual work on computers and create files for consumption by other programs, or if you create programs that create files for consumption by other programs, this talk might be something for you. Who am I? My name is Maischein. I work for the DZ Bank AG in Frankfurt, the Deutsche Zentralgenossenschaftsbank. You don't know it, it's the central bank of the cooperative banks in Germany. And there I am a digital currency expert, so I don't do any more Perl at my workplace, but I do Perl as a hobby because I'm a board member of the Frankfurt Perlmongers. We organized, for example, the German Perl workshop this year and also next year. The German Perl workshop this year was in Frankfurt. Next year it will be in Munich, if everything goes well, in May in Munich. So you're invited to come there. And such a workshop needs sponsors. And let's raise a hand for the sponsors of the London Perl workshop. It's great that, they sponsor this nice venue here and everything. And yes, I'm the treasurer of the Frankfurt Perlmongers. And so for our sponsors, I have the glorious task of writing the invoices, because money cannot flow if there's no invoice. So there is a Perl script named geninvoice.pl in my daily work, well, not daily, but at least for the Perl workshop in my workflow. And that workflow looks like this. I type the invoice data, then generate a PDF from a LaTeX template, and then I write a nice mail, thank you for supporting Perl, and please find attached the invoice for your sponsoring. Now, why do I manually attach that PDF file and not simply send it from geninvoice.pl? Well, usually I want the mail to be somewhat personal and not a form letter like the dear sir or madam, please find attached the enclosed invoice. Ideally, I would use Outlook. Then I could simply open a pre-formatted mail with the file attached, but I don't use Outlook. I use Thunderbird, and Thunderbird cannot prepare a nice mail. So my workflow then means I have to open the folder where I generated the PDF in, pick the right PDF, and attach it to the mail. Now, the file pickers also have the feature that I really come to like. They all have attached recent files or recent documents. In Windows, it is there, and here on the upper screenshot also for Linux or LXQT at least. And this means I can simply go there and attach the latest PDF if it shows up there. So this is what I wrote some code for, to make files show up that your Perl scripts create and that you can add them to the recent documents. And it's fairly simple. A single function, add recent file, and you hand it the name of the file you've created, and then you can use that file somewhere down the road via the recent files. Because why should other programs be allowed to add documents there and not Perl? And yes, this module is named Recent Info Manager because I'm bad at naming. And I also wrote a command line wrapper named Recent Files because sometimes I'm at the shell and want to remember, like, where did I save this image file to or whatever, and all the other programs fill the recent files list. So I have that available on the shell as well with some subcommands because everybody nowadays does subcommands. So there is recent files add, which unsurprisingly adds a document to the list of recent files list, which hopefully does the obvious thing, and also recent files remove, which I'm not sure is needed, but I wanted it for testing, so it's there. And yeah, you can also use the functionality from Perl. There is an additional function named recent files, which returns you the list of recent documents in reverse order. So the newest recent document is the first in the array. And yeah, you can use that to more or less replicate recent files list with this little Perl code. And of course, I'm going to try a live demo. On the upside here, we have the folder of recent files in Windows, the Explorer. And we can also list the recent files. And it takes a bit of time on Windows to set all the files, which I hope I'll be improving soon. And then it spews up a lot of recent files, and the most recent file edited was the presentation of today, quite unsurprisingly. And if I add hello London Power Workshop 2024.txt, which does not exist, but which does not concern me, it adds to the list of recent files this other file, and obviously removing also works. Well, yeah, it does. So yeah, that's actually quite convenient, I find. Oh yes, because you can also restrict the list to all files below the current directory, and you can also instruct it to output relative file names, so you don't have always these monitor spanning long lists. Or maybe I did it wrong. Yeah. So yeah, you can shorten the output a bit. And now, if you want a bit more control than just listing the files or adding on and removing files, like maybe controlling what MIME type gets listed because your application only wants images or something like that. This is where the object part of the module comes in. There is the actual manager, and there you can add not only file names but also specify the MIME type and whatever, and search by MIME type, etc. And yeah, things work there as they should. But why did I come up with manager? It is mostly because I'm fighting operating system differences, because yeah, the module supports Linux, and on Linux or XDG, the common desktop specification, recent files live in a special formatted XML file, which is largely underspecified, but can contain complete XML trees as subnodes, so it's not easily validated. On Windows, it's different again, because on Windows, it's basically a special folder where you put some links or link files on Windows into it, but you don't put them yourself there. There are special syscalls to put new entries there. So to abstract these differences, I put one more layer of indirection above that so that you can access it through the same methods. And yeah, OS X nowadays, again, Mac OS, I'm not sure. I haven't implemented it. I don't use it, but I would really like to support it. Stack Overflow suggests that it is a plist, which is also an XML file, I believe, but I don't know how to edit these from Perl or what the common approach there is. I found a single module named Mac Recent Documents, but I believe this is for the old Mac OS, like Mac OS 8 or Mac OS 9, and not OS X or now again Mac OS. So I believe it simply doesn't work. Yeah, Recent Files Manager, it's certified, works on my machine. On Linux, it works and is fast. On Windows, it works. I'm working on making it faster because readdir is slow on Windows because, yeah, partly of how Perl implements it. So I might have a way to make it faster. And yeah, OS X, if you are interested, I welcome your support. I found some various things like some API call named recent document URLs, which sounds promising. But I also find the suggestion of shelling out to mdefined and then passing its output, which is doable from Perl, but I don't believe that's how a native program on OS X would do it. And yeah, so that's basically the module. Rolf, who isn't here, had a good question, which I really liked for 1 second and then really disliked. The idea of simply overwriting the open function in Perl. This would be great if anytime your Perl script creates a new file, that new file is also added to the list of recent documents, at least if you open it for writing. That's in principle not bad. It's not that much code. It's gnarly code, but yeah, it's hidden in a module. But then I thought of temp files and log files, and I don't want these to show up in my most recent documents. And then I would also have to think about rename and unlink and whatever. So yeah, it was a good idea while it lasted, but yeah. So yeah, basically that's it. The module will be soon on CPAN, I believe, once I return to Frankfurt. If you are a programmer with likings of the macOS API, please come tell me how recent documents are done on macOS. And thank you for your attention. Are there questions or comments or anything? The spoon. I summon the spoon. Oh. I kept it hidden.
Can you create draft emails in a directory for Thunderbird?
The question is whether one can create draft emails in a folder
somewhere special.
Somewhere special.
Because you said you couldn't automate it, but is that
yes? I could automate it in the sense that I could create the email in the drafts folder of my IMAP server. Yes, but then I would still have to open that email in my mail client, which is somewhat closer, but still too much roundabout in the sense where with Outlook, simply the fully formed email pops up and I can type in some more personal words and then click send, which, yeah, feels much nicer to me. But yeah, that would be an idea to create more complex emails for later sending. Yeah, thank you.
Can you choose a different target OS or directory or something? So for example, I'm running Perl in WSL and I'd like to add to recent files in Windows.
I didn't get you acoustically.
Can you choose to target a different operating system? So Perl is running in WSL and I'd like to target recent files in Windows.
Can you choose or target a different operating system? Yes and no, depending on where you come from and where you want to go to. Because Linux or X desktop specification is just an XML file. You can create that and write that wherever you want and hope that, yeah, all the consuming applications find it from there. So that's no problem. This is also, or this makes it easy for me to test the Linux code because I create a temp file, write all my XML information to it, and then compare it to my expectations. On Windows, there is one magic folder per user, and that's all you get. So you don't have the way of adding files on Windows to the most recent documents without running that Windows and running the API calls on that Windows.
Okay, thank you.
I see no more questions, but I'm happy to speak to you afterwards. Thanks again, everybody.